1. They've got us. They've got us.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready when you are, Kate. I'm going to step out of the way and try and show the front entrance. Kate, I'm ready. Come back to me. Yeah, in the last just few minutes, probably the last 2 minutes, it seems actually to some degree that lockdown, and I want to stress that I don't know this, I'm just telling you what I see. It seems that lockdown may be lifted. I want to step out of the way so my photographer, Dan, can give you a better look at that gate area, and I'm not sure you may be even able to see from where you are, but you can see that some people have moved those traffic cones that you saw in my last hit away from the road and are now letting cars that seem to be civilian vehicles back onto the base. Now, we know that this, in these sort of situations, there is a heightened security situation, so we know that they're going to be rechecking these cars, and we anticipate that there may be traffic because of those additional security screens coming back in here onto the base. But it seems, at least with what we're seeing here outside of this main gate, that the lockdown has to some degree lifted. We knew that it was a pretty intense lockdown when I first got out here about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour ago. There was security here. In fact, they had just set up here in this intersection and were directing traffic. When I first got here, the main gate was completely full, and they had cars going all the way down this road waiting to get on the base. But then about 10 minutes after I got in, probably an hour ago, maybe 40 minutes ago at this point, that is when they just shut that entire gate off. At this point, I actually see police here. Do you have any updates for us, sir? 1 second, guys. I'm going to stay on the air just 1 sec. Okay. Gotcha. Is there any information you can share with us or anything like that? Okay. Well, we'll wrap up this hit. We'll get to the Ag Center, you said?
Yeah, the Ed Center, the big building right there.
Gotcha.
Down here, take a left.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So we actually just had an officer come up to us and tell us that Fort Stewart has actually asked us to leave this area here. Now, we're on a public sidewalk, as we would be at any other crime scene. They really can't kick us off of where we're at, but we are going to go there to try and get some more information in these sort of situations. We may get a press conference or something to that degree. So, again, just to kind of wrap up here, we are outside of the gate at Fort Stewart, where it seems they have reopened the gate to some degree. They are letting some folks back in, but we know this is a continuing developing situation, and that could change at any moment. We'll continue to stay out here and bring you the latest. For now, I'm Andy Coulter, JCL 22 News.
They are coming.
I know we've got two coming by.
Okay. Hey, I have new information to report. I can go. I have new information to report. We know that nobody will be coming by helicopter because of weather, but two are coming by ambulance. Yeah, I'm going to set my shot. Yes, Brooke, we've learned a few extra details here that we know that none of those soldiers that went to Win Army Community Hospital, they're not going to be coming by any type of helicopter just because of the weather conditions here, but we have confirmed that two are going to be arriving by ambulance, and that's of course to be treated here at Memorial Health because it is a level 1 trauma center. Meanwhile, Win Army Community Hospital is level 4, so different response level here. They handle all sorts of gunshot wounds just being here in Savannah and the different crime that we see, but of course they're prepared. They're inside this ER here. If a helicopter were to land, it would land right above me, but because of weather, they are not going to be bringing any soldiers in. And of course, we earlierly confirmed that this was an active shooter situation because I was talking to some of my contacts out there at Fort Stewart that I work with so regularly, reporting on military topics here in Southeast Georgia. It's a very tight-knit military community. Not only do we have Fort Stewart all the way out in Hinesville, here in this area, just a few blocks from where I'm standing, there's Hunter Army Airfield, where there are so many different families and soldiers that are listening into this, wanting to hear the latest details on these victims that, of course, are in this tragic and unfortunate situation that happened in an area where first responders all are. Those soldiers, they're our backbone. And, of course, this type of incident brings such confusion, and we want to help clarify as much as we can. So right now we do know that two are going to be arriving by ambulance shortly here. It's about a 40-minute drive from Hinesville to Savannah, so we're just awaiting their arrival here so they can be treated as soon as possible. Brooke, back to you.
It's an average day here at Fort Stewart. Traffic is coming in and out of the base, but we know that it is not a normal day out here at Fort Stewart. We know from officials here at Fort Stewart that they tell us 5 soldiers have been shot at the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team area. We know that several of them are being treated at Win Army Community Hospital, and we know that several of them are now heading to Savannah to go to Memorial Health to be further treated at that level 1 trauma center. But here right now, outside of the main gate of Fort Stewart, things are fairly normal. When I got here about 90 minutes ago, traffic was incredibly backed up with people trying to get onto the base. At that point, maybe about 20 minutes after that, police started shutting down traffic onto the base and actually installed traffic cones here to the front of the base to prevent anyone from coming in and out. That lasted for a good half hour before those officers left the area, and we're inviting folks back onto the base. Now, we know, I want to step out of the way so my photographer can give you a better look onto the base. We know that in these situations, after a security situation on the base, we know that security is going to be tight, and I apologize. It's tough with these cars driving to get a clear shot of that main gate, but we do know that extra security precautions are underway to keep the soldiers and their families safe living here on Fort Stewart. We know that this will continue to be a breaking situation. We will continue to learn more later in the day. I've been reaching out to Fort Stewart officials to try and get more information from them. We have not yet heard back, but we do know, again, from Fort Stewart officials, I want to recap, 5 soldiers shot in an active shooter incident at the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team area. Brooke, we will continue to stay out here and bring you the latest when we have it. Yep. No, my IFB, when this dropped, it broke. So I'm like getting in and out unless I hold it.
Step out, I only punch in so far because we were cautioned once before about shooting video of gate operations and stuff. So I do push in, but I don't get right up in there because I'm like,
They've been coming in. This is where the ambulance is going to come in.
Oh, okay.
They do not come in over there. They come in over here. That's where you walk in.
Okay. I'm going to go grab my bag. No. No, it was my fault. I told you you were clear. Okay. Thank you. Typing in now. You too. Arrive here. We do know that it's going to be via ambulance, not helicopter, because of the weather situation. So that's just another added factor here in a situation that nobody wants to confront, nobody wants to have to deal with, but that is the unfortunate situation that we're seeing here today. So we know that there are at least 2 people en route from Fort Stewart, and keep in mind how long of a drive that is from Fort Stewart into the heart of Savannah to get to the hospital. Obviously, they're in an ambulance. They're going to be able to go faster, have sirens on, so people are going to be moving out of their way. But it is a longer travel time than if they had been arriving here via ambulance. So we are here at Memorial Hospital waiting outside of the ambulance bay where ambulance drop-offs occur. Now, I can tell you that we have also seen several Savannah Police Department officers pulling up to the emergency room over the last couple of minutes. I see at least 2 or 3 at the walk-in entrance, and then there's one lone officer's car over by the ambulance bay. We don't know if that is related to the soldiers coming in, but in these high-profile situations, that's not uncommon to have some kind of a police presence to assist and make sure that people's identities aren't revealed, things of that nature. So we are aware that it could be related, but we don't know 100% for sure if that is related. So again, we are expecting 2 soldiers to be transported here. The Army has confirmed that at least 5 people were shot, and so we don't know what the conditions are of those other 3 people. Wishful thinking says that they're able to get their injuries treated at Wynn Army Hospital, but we don't know for sure whether that's the case. The 2 people that are going to be coming here to Memorial, we can infer that their injuries are going to be on the more severe end, because Memorial is the only level 1 trauma center in our area, and it's the only hospital that is going to be suitable to treat more severe or critical injuries. So we can infer that at least those 2 people are seriously or critically injured. We don't know exactly what their status is right now. If we had their names, which I can tell you we don't at this time, but if we had their names in a typical situation, we could give those names to the hospital and they could at least give us an update on what their condition is, tell us whether they're in stable condition, critical condition, serious condition, what the extent of their injuries are. But because these are soldiers that we're talking about, that information is going to have to come directly from the Army. I can tell you that I have been communicating with the Army since I've been down here on the ground, trying to get more information about the conditions of these soldiers and whether there have been any deaths. The word casualty has been said. Again, just to emphasize, casualty could mean a death, but it could also mean a serious injury. So I am in communication with those officials for the Army, and as soon as I have any information to share, I will. But just keep in mind that this is an extremely fluid situation, and as you can imagine, likely a very chaotic situation. Now that there's no ongoing threat to the public and that the people responsible for this has been apprehended, that gives way for people to start getting their ducks in a row and figuring out what is fact and what is not fact. And we're going to continue to bring you the facts here on WTOC, but keep in mind, because of the fluidity of the situation, that can change. As soon as anybody comes here to the hospital, we will be the first to let you know, but for now I am going to send it back to the studio.
So traffic is moving fairly normally out here outside of Fort Stewart, but we know that it is anything but a normal day beyond the main gate here at Fort Stewart. I want to step out of the way so I can give you a better perspective of this gate where people to get on the base need to, of course, check in. When I first got here, this was completely bumper-to-bumper traffic as security was ramping up the requirements to, of course, get onto base. Then Fort Stewart closed off and locked down the entire base. And then probably at this point, about 45 minutes ago, they have returned to normal operations, saying in a post to Facebook that there is no active threat to the community. In just the last 20 minutes, a team member with the Army Public Affairs Office just checked in with us, told us to kind of stick around this area, but told us that we should at some point get access to Fort Stewart and to be able to get to that 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team area where this shooting is said to have happened. But at this point, it remains an active scene where officials with the Army Criminal Investigations Division are continuing to go through that scene and figure it all out. There's still a lot of questions that we have. We know a shooter has been apprehended, but we don't know who they are. Are they a soldier? Are they a soldier's family members? Or are they just someone that was able to make their way onto base and inflict this violence on 5 U.S. service members here at Fort Stewart? It's incredibly sad, heavy day. When I first got out here, I'm set up kind of at a strip mall with a Subway and an Indian restaurant. There was every parking lot, every parking space was full. Soldiers were just waiting for word to get back on the base. There's a lot of that unknown in these sort of developing situations that really you catch these soldiers just waiting to get an answer as to what is going on. We are going to continue to press Fort Stewart officials. As I said, a member of the public affairs team told us that at some point today, we will likely be able to get onto the base and get outside of that 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team area. We will, of course, continue to keep you posted and bring you the latest from there. But that is all we've got for now. We're going to send it back to you, Brooke.
Well, maybe. Out to me, please. At Memorial Hospital, we can hear sirens in the distance and have been alerted by Memorial officials that this is likely the soldiers arriving from Wynn Army Base Hospital. Now, we can see a Savannah Police Department officer over here on the corner, likely in place for the arrival, given that these are going to be some high-profile patients coming in here. So we are expecting to see some lights and sirens on an ambulance as it comes through here. Again, we could hear sirens just a little bit ago. Officials from Memorial telling us that that is likely the patients from Wynn Army Hospital coming in here. We are expecting that 2 patients will be coming from the base. Again, Fort Stewart has confirmed that at least 5 people were shot on the base, and 2 of them are coming here to Memorial in Savannah for treatment. Now, we will continue to remind you that Memorial is the only level 1 trauma center that we have in the area, so it's really the only appropriate center to be treating somebody with a serious or a critical injury, especially the type of injury that you would sustain with a gunshot. Now, again, I can hear sirens coming from, it sounds close to the hospital, coming from the direction of Duren. We are situated at the ER here at Memorial Health. We were expecting originally today that patients be brought here by a helicopter and that they would be landing on the helipad, just given the severity of the situation and the nature of the injuries that we're expecting these folks to have. But because of the weather, they were forced to bring patients here to Memorial by ambulance. Now, again, we have been hearing sirens, and we can see officers from the Savannah Police Department getting out and monitoring the situation, as you would do with, high-profile patients and things like that, to protect their identities, the nature of those injuries and things. So we are going to continue to keep you updated. I'm not hearing the sirens anymore. Officials from Memorial had said that they thought that that could be the patients. It may be somebody else, but we will be sure to bring you right back here just as soon as we have eyes on an ambulance, and we will let you know when those patients get here. For now, I'll send it back to the studio. come to us. See that a U.S. Army ambulance has just pulled in here at Memorial Hospital in Savannah, presumably carrying at least one, potentially two of the soldiers that have come here from Wynn Army Community Hospital. Now, again, Memorial is the only level 1 trauma center in this area, so we can infer that the victims that are in the back of this ambulance are in need of some sort of critical care, though we don't know exactly what their conditions are at this time. That's information that will have to come from the United States military. They've not released it at this moment because it is a fluid situation and they might not even know right now. We assume that they have, of course, been in communication with medical personnel. Now, on the ground, you can see the Army ambulance and you can see an EMT getting out right now. There are also several Savannah Police Department officers on the ground monitoring the situation. This can happen when high-profile patients are brought into a hospital. It never hurts to have an extra set of hands just to protect the identity of the people and just make sure that everything goes smoothly, especially when you're talking about patients that have come from a mass shooter situation. We can see an EMT getting into the back of the ambulance right now, and the person in the ambulance is likely to be brought into the hospital over the next several minutes. Now, they are being taken care of. As Dawn said earlier, we know that Memorial is likely bringing their best team together, the best of the best, to treat these patients. I can say that nobody has been rushed out of the ambulance. You've been sitting here watching this with me, and it hasn't been a rushing situation. So hopefully that's a good sign, although we just don't know. We don't know if there are two patients in this ambulance or if there's only one. We are still working to learn the status of the other 3 confirmed victims. We're hoping that they were able to stay on base because they had less severe injuries, but we don't know that for fact yet. But we're hoping for the best in this situation. So I'll just give you guys a look at this ambulance as the person in there is being unloaded right now and taken into the hospital. I do see one person on a stretcher, so we could be expecting another ambulance within the next couple of minutes. We will be sure to keep you updated, but as of right now, we know at least one person has been taken into the hospital in a U.S. Army ambulance here at Memorial Hospital.
think about it, there's soldiers and then we have doctors here that sign up for situations like this, but we certainly did not sign up for this one today in the magnitude of the amount of what it means for a shooting to happen at an Army base. And you can see they are rolling people in here, they are getting them the care that they need, and they're able to do that at this hospital here. And the Wynn Army Community Hospital is a very well-equipped hospital, but to the level of gunshot wounds, trauma that these victims have experienced, they are coming here to Memorial Health.
That's the same one.
Location. You just saw them wheeled in there. Just prayers right now for the family of that person that just went in there.
Outside the second Armored. I don't know this outside. Stand by.
Like this to happen. That other ambulance is expected to get here in just about, I'd say, 20 minutes now.
Sure.
Yeah,
you can take it. They're going to take another bump.
But
But this is the same ambulance.
The Army says 5 soldiers were shot earlier this afternoon here on base. I want to step out of the way so my photographer can give you a look at the gate where things have returned to normal. They are allowing folks in and out of the base, but that is certainly a far cry from what the situation was earlier this afternoon as the base was put on lockdown and they evaluate the situation. We can do that again, Dan, if you want. Yeah.
I'm going to stop it.
You're good. You're good.
Because, I get where you were going, but I had no shot.
Yeah. Okay. Outside of Fort Stewart. I'm Andy Cole outside of Fort Stewart in southeast Georgia, where the Army says 5 soldiers have been shot outside of the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team area. We know that those soldiers are now being taken to the hospital, some being treated at Wynn Army Community Hospital here on base, others being taken about an hour to Memorial Health in Savannah, the closest level 1 trauma center to this Army base. That's the other difficulty for first responders, is the proximity of this location. Of course, there are a few agencies around this area, but we have seen agencies from as far as 40, 45, even an hour away come and support the law enforcement effort that is happening here on Fort Stewart. Army officials say there is no active threat and things seem normal, but I hesitate to use that word normal because there is nothing normal about this day when 5 soldiers are shot on base here at Fort Stewart. Officials have not yet provided any information on that shooter, who they say is in custody and was taken into custody around 11:35 this morning. We don't know if that person was a soldier or if they were a family member of the soldier, or if they were just a random person getting onto the base. All of those questions are something we will be pressing Fort Stewart officials and Army officials as they continue to investigate this active shooting situation here on Fort Stewart. For now, I'm Andy Cole.